Hello, my name's Matt Pierce, welcome to GA&P. In this video, we're going to be comparing this Fender American Pro 2 Telecaster with my modded Player Series Tele. I'm a big fan of upgrading my guitars, and I'm curious to find out how the Player stacks up to the Pro 2, and if paying twice the price for the US Tele is really worthwhile. Don't forget to watch right to the end of the video, it really helps the channel out. If you prefer to skip through the video to a specific point, I've timestamped each section in the description below. While you're down there, please hit like, subscribe, ring the bell and leave a comment telling me which one you would buy and why. The first contestant is the new and completely stock Fender American Pro 2 Telecaster. What makes this one different to the previous iteration is the inclusion of the push-push switch, which adds the fabled 4-way mod to the pickup configurations. Today's second contender is this 2018 Fender Player Telecaster in Butterscotch Blonde. I bought this from Peach Guitars and have made a few changes to it. The most significant changes are the twisted Tele pickups and 4-way mod thanks to the Obsidian wire harness. And as they are the components that made the most difference to the versatility of the Player, I'm not going to worry about everything else I changed. However, if you're interested, I've made 3 videos documenting everything I did to it. And as always, there are links to those 3 videos in the description below. Well, both guitars achieve the same thing but in a slightly different way. The Pro 2 has a push-push pot and the Player uses a 4-way switch. The Pro 2 pot works in the middle position, so when it's down you get the traditional Tele tone from both pickups in parallel, and with the pot up you get both pickups in series, so that's the fatter, warmer and fuller humbucker tone. The modded Player's 4-way switch adds the series option in position 4, meaning the blade switch takes care of all 4 positions. This is my personal preference, as I find it way more intuitive to use one switch instead of having separate controls. According to Fender's specs, the 2 guitars are pretty similar. Both have an older body and a maple neck. They both have a 25.5-inch scale length string-through body, and both have a 9.5-inch radius fingerboard with 22 frets. Interestingly, both guitars have a satin urethane finish on the back of the neck and a gloss urethane finish on the headstock. The stock Player also comes with the same tuners as the Pro 2. So the first option, which you cannot currently get on the Player, is a rosewood fingerboard. There is a Pal Ferro option with some finishes, but since Site's ban of 2017, Fender have only offered rosewood on more expensive models. The Pro 2 is also available with a roasted pine body, which replaced the ash bodies used for transparent finishes thanks to this little critter's voracious appetite. These are the prices listed on Fender.com. As I'm sure you'll probably appreciate, these will vary based on where you're from, but it's interesting to see what the price differences between the US and UK are. The price that I paid is quite a bit less though, and I'm sure you can hunt for a bargain on either model somewhere close to you. The weight on these two is pretty similar, and that surprised me. Before weighing them, I knew the Player felt heavier than the Pro, but I'm surprised that it's only a couple of ounces. The finish is different on the bodies, with gloss urethane on the Pro and gloss polyester on the Player, which is interesting considering both have the same finishes on the neck. The first fret neck depth is just under 21mm on the Pro's Deep C, moving to 23.86mm at the 12th fret. The modern C starts out with 21.27mm at the first fret, but remains thinner at the 12th at just over 22mm, so there is an obvious difference in the neck carve. It's also worth noting that the hand sanding process done in both cases will change these dimensions slightly on each production guitar. As previously mentioned, the Pro 2 has rosewood and the Player Series has a maple board. The Player has medium jumbo frets, which used to be on the American standard. These feel very familiar to me and were my preference for years. The Pro has narrow tall frets, which with the added neck thickness offer better purchase and less resistance on the fingerboard compared to the medium jumbos. I only noticed how different they are when I played the two types back to back, and after doing so, I'm firmly in favour of the narrow tall frets. Aside from the different material, the nut width is also quite different. 0.8 of a millimetre might not seem like much on paper, but it does feel significant in my hand. Again, I prefer the Pro 2 on this one, but I have to say I like the Player synthetic nut, as I find bone nuts to be more prone to sticking. Also, they can be inconsistent, as bone is softer or harder throughout its structure, just like any organic material. And I've yet to hear any significant difference in the tone associated with either. We have V-Mod 2 Telecaster pickups in the Pro, and the stock Player Series Alnico 5s have been replaced with a set of custom shop twisted Tele pickups. This is where the cost difference really starts to show. The Player bridge is simple and does the job, but there is an issue with the way the saddles interfere with the strings as they exit the body. The intonation screws are far too long and pinch the strings. Thankfully, it doesn't affect the tuning stability, but it is a problem when changing strings, as getting them to fit through the holes with the screws in the way is a pain, and is the one real letdown. The Pro 2 bridge is a huge improvement, and with the compensated brass saddles, the intonation problems associated with a vintage Tele bridge are taken care of. The knobs on the Player feel cheap and are a little sharp, whereas the Pro's knobs have the rounded domes and feel much nicer in use. If you're highly protective over your guitars, the deluxe case that comes with the Pro will be a welcome addition, but sadly the Player only comes with a cardboard box it was shipped in, so if you want one, you'll have to add the cost on top. No surprises that the Pro 2 is overall a better guitar. It has a nice played-in feel with rolled fingerboard edges and a contoured heel. The hardware is higher quality, and overall the guitar has almost all the features I'm looking for from a Tele. All I need to do is put locking tuners and strap locks on it, and it's perfect for me. Fender should be congratulated on making a genuinely excellent Tele in the Player Series. The bare bones of this guitar are decent. I will add that the stock pickups and electronics are all good, but not for me. I wanted to upgrade the pickups and harness etc., but could have left it as a stock Player Tele without being disappointed with my purchase. As for the issue with the bridge, it's an annoying problem that I can probably live with, although as ever, I am tempted to replace the bridge with something similar to the Pro 2. Let me know if you've done so and have any recommendations. If you're in the market for the Pro 2, then I say go for it. Although if your budget won't stretch that far, the Player Series is a lot of guitar for the money and should bring you many years of joy. If you decide to, you can always upgrade the parts over time and end up with a guitar that is very close to the Pro 2 for a lot less money. For me, the Player is going to stay in my collection, and I think I'm going to continue to swap parts in and out because I enjoy experimenting. The Pro 2, however, doesn't need anything doing to it, and that's why the Pro 2 is worth the extra money, because it came with almost everything done to it from the factory. Okay, it's time for some tones, so let's fire up the Helix and compare the pickups. I've set up 4 presets to compare how well they might cope with a group of genres. 1 is the Dr. C Route 66, 2 is the Marshall JCM 800, 3 is the Soldano SLO 100, and 4 is the Fender Twin Reverb. All 4 have the same effects with identical settings, the full-tone OCD V2, Line 6 simple delay and a Line 6 chamber reverb. Hopefully that will give you a good idea of what the pickups sound like and how they might suit your needs. I'm not going to tell you which ones I prefer, as both sets are really good pickups. Thanks for watching. Please hit like, subscribe and click the bell for notifications of all my new videos. Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on these two guitars.